My unit! And just like that, the women's division in WWE is shattered. It's been derailed for a long time. We all know that. The women, they have such talent. It is mind-boggling how they're not used properly. I mean, you'd have to really screw up to mess up a division like WWE has right now for those women. And you gotta really screw up when you think, wow, how did we fire Mickie James, who could be 60, 70 years old and still run circles around many female wrestlers today? How do we lose Mickie James? How do we lose Ember Moon, Athena? How do we lose Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, and Trinity Fatu Naomi? How does that even happen? How do we lose Kairi Sane? And the list goes on and on. How do we call up, supposedly, people like Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae, Alba Fire to an Isla Dawn, a Chance to a Carter? How do we call up all of this talent and we have nothing for them? Sit at catering and hope that they bring out a fresh sheet of triple layered mousse cake, because you're going to be sitting there for a while. How do we literally take our champion like Rhea Ripley and have her legit squashed last week? Squashed. How do we take somebody that we're booking to be the next big badass? Finally, she's getting her chance. Shayna Baszler is going to show everybody that she is no longer playing around, that she is the resident badass female in WWE. And how do we just squash her simplistically last night like you just did the champion last week? Your tag team champions, they're already in a non-existent division. One half of your tag champions literally just took a title and said, I'm champion. And WWE management said, okay. So people were already not looking at the champions like they were actual champions, and they're not looking at the division like it's an actual division. So what do you do now just to put the final nail in the coffin? Well, you just literally squash your tag team champions as well. All of this, all of these individuals being squashed, a rookie like Zoe Stark, all of them literally being squashed for one person. And it's somebody you just brought back, Nia Jax. And it'd be one thing if this was the first time that we've seen this, right? Oh, they're gonna book Nia Jax like a beast. She's gonna run through the division. Maybe if we just let it play out, this will play out in a very good way. There's just one problem. We've already done this many times in the past. This is not the first, second, or third time that Nia Jax has ran through an entire women's division, and it's led to nothing that anybody cared about. Nobody cared. In the process, you derailed an entire division, and it led to nothing. So WWE's answer to this is to finally let her go. Months later, say, whatever happened to Naya? Let's bring her back. And what if we had her destroy the entire roster? And nobody remembered that we played this game over and over in the past. Or if they did remember, they just didn't care. Maybe they were hoping we'd all forget. But we've already played this game time and time again with Nia Jax. So we're just doing the same thing. The only difference is it's a new crop of females that really desperately need good booking right now, so they can show the world of wrestling fans why they should care about them. They really need good booking. And now the answer to that is bring back Naya, have her squash everybody, and then one day in the future, somebody bigger and badder will come around and defeat Nia Jax. That's the big payoff. Everybody gets squashed, and maybe Jade Cargill comes over and takes out Naya. That's great for Jade. What about the rest of the roster? Where is Xia Li? Xia Li is nowhere to be found. Once in a while, they'll put her on main event, right? A little dark match that maybe you can find on platforms like this. Who knows? Xia Li, one of the most badass females you'll ever come across. I always call her the women's version of a Brock Lesnar. She's so realistic in her style. She's so believable in everything she does. You wouldn't know that because you don't get to see Xia Li. Carter and Chance, they show up. They make a massive first impression. Everybody is talking about their tag match. And that's a problem in WWE. They're not the chosen ones. So now you're going to sit in catering because you were so good. Where is Chance? Where is Carter? Indy Hartwell is really good. She debuted. She was never seen again. Candice LeRae, show up. Now go home for several months. We'll call you if we have something for you. And you can go on and on. Where are these people? We're going to talk all about it. This is the Monday Night Raw review for the 18th of September 2023 on the Amped Up Podcast. 4 things I need from you before we start this off. Grab your coffees, lock in your earbuds, smash those ups, and let's get amplified! Yeah. So we start Cody Rhodes defeating Dominik Mysterio. That's it. Nothing more, not much less. Dominik Mysterio defeated by Cody Rhodes. If that match sounds familiar, if the finish sounds familiar, you just saw this a couple of months ago. I believe it was Money in the Bank. And Cody Rhodes defeated Finn Balor a couple of times in the past couple of months. Cody Rhodes has defeated Damian Priest in the past month or two. Cody Rhodes has already ran through everybody in Judgment Day, and now we're just going to recycle this, right? We're going to run it all back going into the holidays because they don't have anything for Cody Rhodes. Like nothing. So the same thing that Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens have been doing for 3 months, just taking on the Judgment Day and any variation, 2-on-2, 1-on-1, 6-man tags, 8-man tags. Well, Cody Rhodes is a part of that. In fact, get this, guys. Get this. After this match, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens come to the ring, and they have a stare down with the Judgment Day, which is foreshadowing even more matches with the Judgment Day. Do you guys remember? I think it was going into Payback, I believe, correct? Where Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens were backstage, and they were like, we can't keep doing this. Every week, it's the same match. Basically saying exactly what most of us fans are saying. Dude, it is so regurgitated. It is so rinse and repeat that it is becoming the opposite of exciting, the opposite of fun. It is the most extreme measures of boredom. And even Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens had to go live on air and say, we've done this too many times. Saturday Payback, that's it. And they had that little Pittsburgh Steel City street fight. And then the next Monday, they were already back at it again. And here we are now going towards the end of September, heading fastly to Fastlane, and we're still getting Zayn and Owens squaring up with the Judgment Day. And here you just had Cody Rhodes with them. If you're wondering if you've seen Cody Rhodes, Sammy, and KO versus the Judgment Day in like some 6-man schmaz, you have several times. You've seen Sethington with KO and Sammy. You've seen Nail Polish Nelson, Flip Flops Flanagan, Scooter Stevenson, Matt P.S. Riddle with KO and Sami Zayn. You've seen everybody. That's what I mean. So Cody is involved in the same thing that Sammy and KO is involved with. Multiple months of this Judgment Day BS. And it's not a storyline. It's not a storyline if you're just wrestling and brawling every week. That's not a story. If you do claim it's a story, it's one of the worst stories we've ever stumbled across. So this is the whole first half an hour of Monday Night Raw, or at least 20 minutes, because I do have to say this. Judgment Day would walk off. They wanted no piece of Cody, Sammy, and KO. They walk away, and we're going to get this match going forward till the end of time, it seems, or at least till the year 4025, right? We're pegging that about year, right? 4025, 4025, maybe we'll see the last match between these individuals. But after Judgment Day walks off, it gets a little bit interesting. BC will say that. A little bit of suspense, right? When Kevin Owens stops Cody Rhodes and he says, Cody, can you stay here for a second? There's something we need to talk about. cool. Okay, we go to commercial break with that suspense, right? We have something to talk about. I want to do it publicly in the ring, right? So we go to break, and we're all going, well, what the fuck is KO talking about? So you stick around for a little bit. Now, at this point, again, there's 2 Monday Night Football games going on. I always talk about that last button on the remote control. At the bare minimum, your professional wrestling show should be good enough to at least have your audience who's maybe watching more Monday Night Football, at least have them have that finger on the last button at any moment, right? So if it's a commercial on the football game, you can press the last channel to the USA Network. Well, here you had 2 Monday Night Football games, so you really have to try to garner even more interest from your wrestling audience. This is one of those clever ways to do it. Before you go to commercial, hold on, there's something big that needs to be discussed. I truly believe that was a good tactic that may have worked. It'll be interesting to see the Q2 into the Q3 segment quarterlies in the ratings. But when we come back from break, Owens wants a public explanation why Cody brought Jey Uso to Monday Night Raw. And Cody says simply, and this is a quote, "'Cause my job is to make people happy." Oh, he's drinking that WWE Kool-Aid. And listen, I like Cody. I mean, he is drinking the WWE Kool-Aid, and that's totally fine. You know, in AEW, he booked himself into a corner because of the EVP status. Kenny Omega, Young Bucks still do it to this day. They don't feel like they can book themselves too strongly because everybody will say it's because you're EVPs, you're booking yourselves so strong. That's not fair. And that always hindered Cody Rhodes. Weird decisions in AEW. Like, if I lose this match, I can never go for the AEW world title again. Why would you pigeonhole yourself like that? Back yourself into a corner like that? There was no need to do that, but Cody Rhodes felt like everybody was just looking at him like the EVP and not one of the boys who's really trying to be one of the best in AEW in terms of just talent. And I think Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, to this day, they have not found that right recipe, or maybe even the ingredients to form the correct recipe to successfully book yourself in AEW. We're getting a shell of what Kenny Omega once was, even with some of the good matches he's had. We all expected now, over 5 years into this AEW company's inception, we all expected a lot more headlines from Kenny Omega and a lot more big storylines. Young Bucks, same thing. We're nowhere near what they did in Japan. And it's not just about like, oh, their bodies are a little bit more broken down now. The years have taken their toll, things like that. No, they still got gas in the tank. It starts with their booking. It's very odd. And you can tell that the EVP status, it gets in the way. Cody Rhodes was able to say, dude, this is what's happening. I got to get the fuck out. And he got out. He got out of that EVP status. He got out of AEW as a whole. He said, I got to go back home to WWE. I got some wrongs to make right. And that's what he did. So he's drinking that Kool-Aid fully now when he looked at Kevin Owens and he said, I got a job to do, and it's to put smiles on people's face. I got to make people happy. So I brought Jey Uso over. No, that's not you just made it more difficult for yourself on Raw. You clogged the highway more with people that are going to try to get world championship opportunities. So, I mean, you got Kevin Owens in the corner. He was great. Kevin Owens is in the corner, sitting on top of the top turnbuckle, and he's just like looking at Cody like you're spewing one BS word after another. So, it was good, man. Cody also said that he believes in second chances. And Kevin Owens is like, oh, fuck, man. I still don't believe it. I still don't. In fact, Owens says, I don't trust Jey Uso, but I trust the two of you, meaning Sami Zayn and Cody. So I just hope you're right. And then he walks off. Kevin Owens just left both of them in the ring like, you better be right. You're going to piss me off. So I didn't mind the second part of this, man. This wrapped up the first half an hour of Monday Night Raw. Again, the first Q1 into Q2 with just Dominic and Cody, and then Cody, Sami, and KO face-to-face with Judgment Day. I've seen it all week after week, month after month. No, thank you. At that point, fucking high school football would have been better. You don't even need Monday Night Football. You don't even need college football. Put on fucking Pee-wee football would be better, more entertaining than Q1 leading into Q2. But the end of Q2 into Q3, And the whole explanation that Owens wanted from Cody, I do like that, man. So they picked themselves up from that Q1 into Q2. Now, can the second half an hour pick it up a little bit more? Because we're going to need a lot more. You got 2 Monday Night Football games on. Not so fast. Sip of coffee first, and then we'll go into the second half an hour. Thank you. You guys know how this works. All right, so it's Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston defeats Ibar of the Viking Raiders via pinfall off of Trouble in Paradise. Now, you guys remember this was supposed, or maybe you don't, but all the promotional was for a best 2 out of 3 falls match between the Vikings and the New Day. This was supposed to be straight tag, 2 out of 3 falls. But apparently, Eric's ship, Eric of the Viking Raiders, his ship was apparently washed ashore, maybe it fell offshore, during a brutal storm over the Atlantic. So, according to my notes, the ship and the treasure and Eric, they were all lost at sea. But the good news is they do believe that the treasure, the ship, and Eric are going to return to civilization soon. They're going to wash upon shore again, and the tag team match will take place eventually. So that's the good news. But for this matchup, it was only one Viking, only one Raider, and that was Ibar. And he took a Trouble in Paradise, and he lost this match. Again, probably for the best, because this match was actually pretty decent. I mean, for a tag team match, or at least one-on-ones, because Xavier was injured for a couple of weeks, it's just one of those regurgitated situations on Monday Night Raw that we see with every segment, it seems. And this was going to be just another tag match between these four. They split them up. We do another one-on-one. You have no expectations. You're bored from the jump. By the time the match was done, good wrestling match. So it's probably for the best we didn't get the tag match. And again, don't worry. The 2 out of 3 falls match will happen as soon as Eric returns to civilization. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Ricochet. Before the match, Ricochet says, this is a quote by Ricochet backstage. Ricochet says, "I'm a cheat code, and tonight it's game over." What a geek. I'm a cheat code, and tonight it's game over. What are we That's like something you get in a lame sign, at the local home decor store. You know what I mean? Or maybe in a Rocky's hardware store, or a Home Depot, a Lowe's, and you got those cute little signs for the garage. Or for like a gamer's room, if you're a gamer and you got one of those little office game rooms. Or maybe your bedroom. I'm a cheat code and it's game over. I was like, what's happening, right? What are we doing? Anyway, he's a cheat code. And also before the match, by the way, that was Ricochet before he came out to face Nakamura. And also, Sethington Rollins barreled to the ring to take out Nakamura pre-match, but a bunch of officials and security broke them up. So Sethington was very unsuccessful in whatever he was trying to attempt. He would attempt it again after the match, and that was even worse. We'll get to that in a minute. But for this matchup, by the way, the Sethington trying to take out Nakamura, that led us into a break. When we come back from the break, we have a matchup between Ricochet and Nakamura. It was decent at first, then it turned a little chaotic, then Ricochet is throwing around chairs, and I think Ricochet actually got disqualified. I believe Nakamura won, even though Nakamura is the heel. I think it was Ricochet that got disqualified. It was supposed that Nakamura originally was going to be disqualified, so Ricochet was kind of just defending himself, but he gets DQ'd. And then Ricochet gets beat up afterwards by Nakamura. Kinshasa, and then starts brawling down on Ricochet with that aforementioned steel chair, by the way. So Nakamura beats him and then beats him down with the steel chair. And then Sethington, for the second time within like 10 minutes, Sethington once again barrels to the ring again. And once again, he fails to do anything. He fails to do anything to Naka. In fact, Naka takes out and drops Sethington Rollins, bro. Sethington's like limping, holding his back to the back with all the officials trying to hold him up. I'm like, bro, what were you trying to do tonight? Get a coffee from catering and go home. Just go. Or you ain't got to go home, but you got to get out of here because you're getting your ass whooped. Just go somewhere. Go to a party down the block, right? Go to, where were they? They were somewhere in Utah. I don't know. Those got to be some kinky parties. Go somewhere. Go to the local Lowe's or Home Depot. Maybe they're open till 10 o'clock, right? At that point, it's only 8. Actually, it's Utah, so it's even younger in the night. Much earlier. I don't know, man. It's just funny. You're just looking at Sethington like, what are you trying to do? What are you doing? Take a breath and get a better game plan here, because it ain't working. Anyway, hour 2. That was the end of hour number 1. Not much going on, as I said. Kevin Owens wants an explanation from Cody Rhodes. That was the highlight of the hour. Ricochet gets beat by Naka. I don't know what Sethington is even trying to do. One of the Vikings gets some beats. The good headphones. Gets beat by Kofi Kingston. I don't know. If you missed hour 1, you would not have missed anything. So we go into hour number 2. Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark as a tag team. Think about that. Just 2 weeks ago, they faced each other, which was a regurgitated match, by the way. It was a rematch. But Shayna goes over to Zoey and says, "Hey, at least you did better than Ronda." And from that, they're all of a sudden a tag team now. So that's what WWE does. So anyway, Baszler and Zoey, they take on tag champions Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Now, Nia Jax would hit the ring and cause a no contest. So this match was basically thrown out because Nia Jax just took every single one of these 4 ladies out. What is the point of doing this, right? There's none. Other than giving Naya this mega dominant beast status push. But what is the point when you're talking about all of these ladies getting dropped and looking like absolute jobbers to one person? What is the point? Why would you do that to the other ladies? And I'm not just talking last night. I'm talking what happened last Monday and what's surely going to keep happening to this whole women's division. Your tag team champions, guys. I don't care if it's Chelsea Green or not. It's Piper Niven. She's supposed to be booked a little bit more badass. Your tag team champions were thrown around the ring like rag dolls to Nia Jax. Your champions. How is anybody going to take them seriously if they always lose? As champions, they always lose. A lot of times it's in singles matches, so they don't look relevant. Singly or as a tag team. They're just literally holding around props right now. Toys. And that makes sense because Piper Niven literally just said, "I'm champion." And Adam Pearce is like, okay. She didn't win it. She didn't earn it. She just took it and said, "I'm champion." And WWE is fine with it. So from the jump, nobody is going to take those titles serious anyway. And it's a non-existent division, right? The tag team for the women? The tag team for the men is in turmoil. The women is even worse in terms of tag team. So you have your tag team champions just being thrown around the ring like rag dolls to one person, Nia Jax. What's the point? Why would you make your champions look like that or book them in that position? I'm not even done. You have Shayna Baszler, who started to get momentum recently, right? The big win over Ronda Rousey. She's on her own now, right? She's going to be dominant. Maybe you can make her a fan favorite going forward, but you're finally going to give her that string of momentum that she has never had. And that instantly, that momentum is derailed in one single night, one segment via Nia Jax. Nia Jax didn't just take Shayna out. Guys, Nia Jax squashed Shayna Baszler. Squashed her. Literally put her in the corner like she did to the champion last week, Rhea Ripley, and just sat on her. Squashed Shayna Baszler. But you were booking Baszler recently to be the baddest woman in WWE. That's what you were doing. A win over Ronda, a win over Zoe, and Naya comes along and totally squashes not just Shayna, but all of the momentum, all of the equity that she has been building up, all of the credit that she has been building up. All of that credit has already been cashed in now for Nia Jax. The same segment that your champions used up all the rest of their credit. I don't know who would loan these champions any credit, how poorly booked they've been, but whatever credit the champions had left, They used it all in this segment. Shayna Baszler's credit and momentum used up. And I'm not even done. Zoe Stark. Rookie Zoe Stark was starting to showcase why people should actually care about her. She was starting to turn heads and make people talk, especially when she split away from Trish Stratus. And now you have this thing with Baszler. What are they doing with him? Are they going to stay a tag team? Is it just building up to a bigger match with a stip maybe? Zoe Stark was just taken out and squashed by Nia Jax. And you go to last week, where one of your number one contenders for the title, Raquel Rodriguez, was absolutely taken out, dismantled by Naya, and your champion, Rhea Ripley. That is already 6. And a lot of those, your dominant wrestlers, right? Your champion, your Shaynas, your rookie like Zoe, your champions, your tag titles, and your world champion for the women. That's part of the 6. 6 have already been demolished in 2 shows, 2 segments with Nia Jax. Now, next week, who is it? Is Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell, Katana, and Carter, Chance and Carter, are they all going to show up in one segment and all get squashed by Nia? Is it going to be 5-on-1? And all the ladies that you never see are going to get dominated? Is Xia Li finally going to be on Monday Night Raw just to get squashed by Nia? The point is, you're doing all of this, and the one person it's benefiting is Nia Jax? You fired her for a reason back in January, or whenever that was. I think it was January. You fired her for a reason. You have a whole roster full of ladies that could really use booking like that, momentum like that. I wouldn't have them run through the whole roster and locker room like Nia is doing. I wouldn't have them take it that far, but they could use dominant beast mode, ultra amplified status booking. They could use that. And instead of giving these ladies that, you bring back Nia, you give it all to her. And what's the end goal? Jade Cargill shows up and finally takes out the beast that took out the entire locker room? Because as much as I'm supporting Jade Cargill, as I always did, you have a whole roster of ladies that needs to be booked properly. If the best you have is to make them absolutely squashed or getting squashed by just one female, that's not going to help a roster that's already in the shitter. If this roster was banging out right now, if this ladies roster was top notch in terms of booking and creativity, if it was rolling on all cylinders and everybody was talking about them in the most positive of lights, then yes, all right, you want to try something like this, you got something big for Nia, okay. Some females are going to have to do the deed, bite their tongue and do the job. But guess what? That's not the case. These ladies are not rolling on all cylinders. People are not talking about this division in that locker room in the best of ways and lights. And this is not the most amplified of creativity in booking that you could have for them and should have for them. Thus, this is only going to make it worse. Hope you guys are keeping track. It's befuddling to see this. It truly is. If this was just Shayna Baszler running through everybody, at least it's somebody that really needs that booking. Again, I wouldn't be on board of running through the entire roster, but at least it's Shayna Baszler. She's paid her dues, and it's high time she gets to cash in that credit in the right way. But Nia Jax, I'm not seeing this, man. I'm not saying that bringing her back is wild. Having her run through the entire ladies roster is wild. And it all leads to what? Somebody's going to beat her at a pay-per-view soon. Whoa, thank goodness she squashed the entire locker room to get us to that point. We've already seen this game play out, guys. We've seen Nia Jax run through the roster several times in the past. And it leads to nothing that anybody cares about. That's how we know this is just regurgitated. It's rinse and repeat. It's around and around they go in a vicious cycle that does not change every time it comes back around. Nothing changes. And here we are doing it again. If we've never seen this play out before, then you just say, well, basically, let it play out, right? Maybe this is going to be amazing. But we've seen this exact scenario with Naya so many times in the past. There's no need to be running through the roster yet again. A roster that needs proper booking. And because of this, you don't even see most of the females on TV. And when you do, in the next coming weeks, trust me, they're just going to get squashed. You'll finally see Candice LeRae on TV, Indy Hartwell, Xia Li. You'll see them all. Chance and Carter. Alba Fire. Isla Dawn. I think one of them had an injury. I think they're back from it now, right? Or ready to make a comeback. I think they're SmackDown, but WWE doesn't have any brand split, or at least they don't abide by it. So you could see Alba and Isla show up to Raw just to get squashed by Naya. Because that's what's happening. That's their story. In WWE's minds, this is epic television. We'll bring Naya back to squash a division that the fans already say is dead. No harm, no foul. Anyway, an entire roster that could use that type of booking, and Naya waltzes in and gets all of it. And we've just seen this play out so many times. So, hey, hey, to the ladies, honestly, I say salute. That's got to be a shitty position to be in. When you find out the person that's not Charlie Flair that's about to get the rocket is somebody coming back like Naya. You're like, wait, what? Naya doesn't even work here. Well, she does. We just brought her back, and we're going to need you to literally get sat on. But Paul, we have titles. I know, but that's just what we're going to do. Shayna Baszler's like, but Paul, you told me that I was going to be the dominant one finally. I started to get momentum. I start to look really like a real badass. I can't just get squashed by this woman. I know, but we're going to have you do it anyway. Up next, we'll just move on because you don't understand it, right? But it's WWE. Most things we don't understand with this company. Up next, Chadathan Gableton. You talk momentum. Chadathan has had a lot of momentum recently, man. Chadathan Gableton versus Big Bronson Readington. Bronson Readington, man, has not had a lot of momentum. He's been 50-50 booked and then some. So what's really interesting here, you pretty much knew that Bronson Readington was going to have to lose this match because Chadathan Gableton, he's riding that momentum wave, right? He didn't get that title from Gunther, but there's no way you can then put him in with Bronson and have him lose. He just lost to Gunther. So you got to believe that Bronson's going to lose, but just get creative and make Bronson look strong. I would have never booked this match. However, it was the flip version of this all, man. It was the opposite that happened. Bronson Readington defeated Gableton clean. It was off of Bronson's tsunami splash from the top rope and subsequent pinfall. And you had Chadathan just lose clean. I could not believe that. I'm like, why would you do that why would you do that to Chadathan? This dude has been finally getting some momentum. People are turning heads. They're finally starting to see what we all saw in Chadathan. And that's a star. A freaking star that's been there for years, and everybody is finally seeing that. And you put him in there with Bronson to take this L. It's just odd. After all the momentum that Chadathan has gained over the last 2 months, 50-50 booking prevails once again. 50-50 booking just derails these wrestlers. I just don't get it. Just like the Naya thing and so many other things on this show, I just don't get it, and sometimes it's best just to move on, right? It ain't even worth the time or the effort to try to comprehend the level of stupidity that has somehow been reached. Major props to Kevin Owens, by the way. There was a backstage segment where Owens and Jey Uso and Sami Zayn were continuing their little conversation they've been having. Owens does not trust Jey. Sami's like, come on, man. He's a really good guy. He just needs a second chance. And Kevin's like, I don't want to trust him. And Jay's like, come on, man. I'm a changed man. So they were having all that little spat. But it's the shirt that Kevin Owens was wearing. It was great. It was a Razor Ramon Bad Guys Last Forever t-shirt. I love the shirt. Props to Kevin Owens. Hour 3 begins with the new NXT Women's Champion, Becky Lynch. Grand Slam Man is what they're calling her now. Grand Slam champion now that she's won that NXT championship, defeating the amazing, ultra-talented Tiffany Stratton. That was last Tuesday. So now Becky Lynch is defending this championship on Raw now. It started last night. So just like Dominic Mysterio was going to be taking on Dragon Lee, I believe, next week on Raw, not NXT. So they're not only going to NXT and taking the NXT titles, they're defending them now on the main shows. So I don't know, man. Very odd. But Becky Lynch is out there last night. She issues an open challenge, and she was funny at the end of her little promo. She says, and I quote, "I can't think of a better place than now." Think about that. I can't think of a better place than now. And a better time than in production. Kevin Dunn had his team ready to save her because Nattie Neidhart's music plays. Because we knew that was a botch. But production actually saved Becky. But Becky was funny. She still kind of made light of it. Because when Nattie's music hits, you could hear Becky on the mic go, "Oops, I messed that one up, didn't I?" Becky actually says, "I messed that up." She was supposed to obviously say, "I can't think of a better place than Utah and a better time than now." But she said, "I can't think of a better place than now and a better time than now." It was funny, right? Because Becky was just like, "Dude, I messed it up." So for her to say that was kind of it was just funny. It made BC popping. It was an LOL moment. How's that? At least for the Amplified man. Anyway, as I said, Nattie's music does hit. And sure enough, here comes Nattie. And she was letting those booyakas free. I'll tell you, man, she was letting her booyakas out last night. They got to just get some air last night. But Nattie's got the best pair in the business. I think we know that, right? Her and her sister Jenny, if she wants to come into the business, that would be one formidable tag team. It'd have to be the Freebird rule because those 4 other ladies, they would be with Nattie and Jenny, and that would be 6 people. It'd be a lot of people in that tag. That'd be a faction. Nattie and her booyakas, and her sister Jenny and her booyakas, and that would be a whole faction. Anyway, she let those puppies free last night, and that is why they call her the breast there is, the breast there was, and the breast there ever will be. Salute. Everybody was rolling their eyes to the back of their dome piece when they heard Nattie's music. Oh, what is Nattie gonna do? Nattie's not gonna take the title. BC was like, I'll watch a little. Listen, how Raw was up until that point, I was actually happy to see Nattie and her girls. But in all seriousness, Becky Lynch takes care of Nattie. I believe it was also, Bex defeated Nattie via pinfall, and it was off of the awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating fruit roll-up. The fruit roll-up. You know it had to be a roll-up if Nattie was involved. Of course, was it last year or the year before? Nattie Neidhart, along with Shayna Baszler, held the fruit roll-up record in WWE. In other words, Nattie got rolled up more than any wrestler in WWE, not including the 24/7 circus. But Nattie was rolled up. If you, and Shayna Baszler was right there with her. If you wanted to beat Shayna or Nattie for the longest of times, all you had to do was roll them up. So Becky was like, why am I working extra hard when I don't need to? Roll up. She's done. So she's the breast there is, the breast there was, and the breast there ever will be, but it just wasn't last night. Nattie's kryptonite, right? Nattie's Achilles heel is the roll up. If she can overcome that, Nattie could be one of the best wrestlers in the world, I feel. Up next, Tomasso Ciampa taps out Giovanni Vinci. Isn't that how Samantha says it? Giovanni. I can't even hit the fucking octane. Tomasso defeats Giovanni via the Sicilian stretch. Michael Cole made it a point to let us know what that move is called. I like this, and this is what I mean. This is when I say that these wrestlers and this company, they're absolutely listening to these podcasts. You know, I made a big criticism a couple weeks ago about how Michael Cole, the commentary team, they need to tell us all of the finishers, because Shotzi put a finisher on a couple of weeks ago. Shotzi won a match. It was via her finisher or a new finisher, but it was a variation DDT. And I just didn't know what it was called. Maybe I should. Maybe she's been using it for a while. I didn't know, all right? Just didn't know. So I was waiting. And then they showed the replay. And even after the replay, nobody told me what the move was. And that's not what a broadcaster should do. The commentary needs to sell the move to sell the superstar. And instead, Kevin Patrick was just like, whoa, what a move. 1, 2, 3, Shotzi wins. They do the replay. Michael Cole's like, wow, what a win. And I'm like, somebody, Corey Graves, Kevin Patrick, Michael Cole, somebody in AEW, Jim Ross, somebody tell me what this move is. From the great yonder, Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gene Okerlund, Lord Alfred Hayes, Gorilla Monsoon. Get a governor. Where's Jesse Ventura, former governor? Jesse, anybody who's done comment, somebody tell me the move. Nobody would tell us, right? So I made a big criticism about that. And ever since, this company has been going out of their way to tell us the finishers of these wrestlers' moves. So I'm glad that we can start that process, man. That's why I say these channels, it's for a reason, right? We want to make pro wrestling better. That's the purpose of this show. We have fun, we entertain, but we have a mission statement. It's a goal to make it better. And I'm glad that they take these little things that we talk about that is actually big, they're big issues for these companies. I'm glad they listen and they change it up. They made it a point to tell you that, especially if you're a casual fan, that's the Sicilian stretch. And he said it several times. You got to do that. It's what we grew up doing, man. You knew what every wrestler called their finisher. So this was I just had to spend a minute on just saying that was very good to know what that is called, right? Or what they're calling it now. He's always performed the move. But the knee to the face, forget the Sicilian stretch that actually tapped out Giovanni. There was a knee to the face that Gio took off of a springboard. That was wild. So Giovanni springboards. He's going back, right? Just springboards off the second rope, and he's going back toward Tomasso, and Tomasso lays a knee like Giancarlo Stanton would crack a Grand Slam home run off of Greg Maddux, right? I mean, it would just be, the sound of it, the connection, Grand Slam. The only difference is Giovanni Vinci had his dome bees met with that knee by Tomasso. I thought right there it was a 1, 2, 3. Big win by Tomasso. Tomasso says backstage that he's going for Gunther's championship. We all respect Tomasso. He's a formidable person to take on Gunther and maybe even win the title. No doubt. We know his talent. He's waited. He's been patient, although he has been injured for a year as well. So, he had no choice but to be patient for the last full year. But was all of this Gunther title reign and the record and all that was to just give it to Tomasso? Man, I'm 50-50 on that. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I'm 50-50. I won't complain about it. I don't know if I'm fully sold on it either. I think we still have to book Tomasso strong and really get everybody on board with looking at Tomasso as the guy to take it from Gunther. Otherwise, I agree with so many of the unit members, Dragunov. If you bring him up immediately, book him for a few months bare minimum, get everybody introduced to who Dragunov is, because we know what they did in the past. On the main roster, I feel if you give him the right time with the proper booking, it's going to be even better somehow. But I do believe that. Tomasso. Again, being injured for so long recently, and then coming back and not really having anything and being booked 50-50, if not worse. I'm not sold on that yet. So we'll see, man. But Tomasso says he's going to be the guy to take the title from Gunther. We'll see. The main event was reserved for Drew McIntyre versus Jason Uso. I didn't care about this. I flipped over to the football game a couple times, so I have no notes for the match itself. When I flipped back one time, fans were standing and they were kind of into it. So there's no doubt that it was a decent to even good match. I just didn't care about it. Waiting 3 hours on a Monday night just to watch Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre, that does not get me excited. It's not fun to me. It's not something I want to do. So I watched 2 football games and flipped back for the final 5-10. And just in time to see a lot of chaos. Drew McIntyre defeats Jey Uso via pinfall off the Claymore. It was a Claymore party. Actually, it was a super kick party because Judgment Day was at ringside. They were going to help out Jey take out Drew. So Damian's up on the ring apron. He gives a fist bump to Jey Uso. Jey Uso delivers a fist bump right back. Like, I am in the Judgment Day. Damian's like, yeah. And Jey Uso just hauls off with a super kick. Takes out Damian. Super kick. Takes out Dominic. Super kick. Takes out Baszler. And when he turns around, he's met with a Claymore. It was a good finish. This was, it was well thought out. And it got a little overbooked at that point. Drew ends up taking off after he defeats Jey Uso. And the Judgment Day's pissed off at this point, right? Jey just got Claymored, so he's out. Judgment Day is back on their feet. They were all just taken out by Jey. So now, after the match, of course, there's no love lost with Drew and Jey, so Drew takes off while Judgment Day beats the shit out of Jey Uso. Drew is conflicted. Do I go and help Jey, who I don't really like anyway, or do I just go to the back? And Drew stays firm in his stance. He does not go and help Jey. Instead, Cody Rhodes' music hits, and Cody storm barrels to the ring, and he takes out Judgment Day by himself. Again, I don't know how that makes Judgment Day look good, but whatever. And Cody helps up Jey Uso, and Drew is conflicted. Judgment Day's pissed. Cody helps Jey, and we go off the air. So a little overbooked at the end, but I liked it. It was more exciting than the match itself for me. And then we go off the air, and there's nothing of substance that you really need to look forward to next week. Nothing. Wow, Jey Uso now made enemies out of the Judgment Day. Okay, well, everybody is facing the Judgment Day every week. Cody Rhodes, Sammy, KO, and now it looks like Jey Uso is next. Jey versus Dominic, Jey versus Finn, Jey versus Damian. Oops, we ran out of everybody. Let's do it all again. Jey versus Dominic, Jey versus Damian, Jey versus Baszler. Let's do it again. Let's put Jey with Cody and have him in a tag match with Judgment Day for 3 weeks in a row. What if we have an 8-man tag, right? Judgment Day with JD McDonuts versus Sammy, KO, Cody, and Jey. I mean, this is what you're going to get. And it's just not fun. So you say, well, BC, what do you expect them to do, man? I mean, these are the people that they have, and you got to use them in this way. No, you don't have them wrestle every week. It's not fun. If Warrior is taking on Hogan going into WrestleMania 6, this is what you don't do. You don't have Warrior versus Hogan every single week for 2 to 3 fucking months before the match. Because by the time you get to a pay-per-view, you're just seeing the same match you got a million different ways on free TV. You don't have them wrestle. You actually tell a storyline, right? You just tell a story. You keep them away. And you make us pay our money to a subscription service or $50 to $60 a month. You make us pay to see it because we actually want to see it. But if you think a storyline or a feud is just wrestling the same matches every week, just a different puzzle piece here and there, right? We're going to take this person out. We're going to do one-on-one. Then it's going to be the tag match. Then we'll do a 6-man. Then we'll go back to the same tag match we had 2 weeks ago. And then for 2 weeks, we'll just have the same tag team match. Then we'll do a 6-man. Then we'll go back to a one-on-one. But it's the same people. You're just taking a puzzle piece. That's not going to be fun for a lot of us. If it is for you, I'm not even throwing shade. That's awesome. That's great for you. I wish you would raise your standards in your bar and start expecting more, or demanding more, I should say, from your wrestling companies. But that's wishful thinking. Good for you if this is good enough for you. But there's a reason that the ratings are so bad, right? There's a reason why so many of us are just like, this is not fun. There's a reason. And the thing is that these are little things that can be corrected if you just start caring more and think about what you're doing. Why is so many fans not happy with the product right now, right? Why was everybody raving about the bloodline? It was the storyline, right? The story was getting them 2627 in the ratings. The story. Even more than the wrestling on a wrestling show. Go figure. People were invested in the characters in the story that was being told. That's why. Bray Wyatt, I say it all the time, right? So many people claim they don't like Supernatural, right? But why is it always so heavily high rated? Why was the merchandise pumped out and all the metrics were top notch with everything Bray was doing? It was because people were captivated with the story, the wildness of every segment that Bray was in, no matter how short or long, how simplistic or how out of the box. Bray Wyatt turned heads, made people talk. Even if you claim you didn't like it, you had to watch it. You had to listen in. That's what professional wrestling was always based on. And over the past several years, we just see just the same matches and the same brawls. And every week, it's just regurgitated. Just spit out at us. How many times can you see Viking Raiders and New Day in some way? If Matt Riddle wasn't gone for the last few weeks, he got felt up at an airport or something. I don't know. Nothing shocks me or surprises me with nail polish Nelson anymore. Flip-flops Flanagan. But if he was back, you'd be seeing the Viking Raiders and Drew and Riddle involved in all that as well. Drew was able to get a main event last night because he didn't have to fuck around with Vikings. He's probably hoping Eric stays lost at sea. The treasure in the ship is never found. Or, I don't know, Viking Raiders, and I consider them pirates. I don't even know. I put Vikings and Raiders in the same realm as pirates. Go figure. Anyway, guys, that's what I got for you. This was just, it felt like another regurgitated Raw. There was nothing special here. In fact, the biggest headline I can talk about for you guys is something that's not good. Naya squashing the entire women's division. I wish I could tell you this was a good thing that's going to lead to something really cool, but it's just going to lead to somebody bigger and badder taking out Naya. And it's the same thing we've seen so many times before with the same people involved, at least in the status of Naya and Paul Levesque and all them. The problem is there's so many newer people on the women's roster that should not be suffering the same fate that we've already done before by Nia Jax. I hope that makes sense. I mean, a lot of these ladies can't even get TV time. But they will soon because she's going to run out of people to squash. That's the only headline I can give you guys. This was a subpar Raw. This was not the big Jets-Bills Aaron Rodgers game from last week. I understand that. I told you guys the product itself did not deserve more than a 1-3 to a 1-4 last week. I was right. They only scored a 1-3.5. You had two Monday Night Football games, but again, neither one of them at the level of last week. But I think as a show, I would be shocked if this pulled any more than a 1-6. This was a show worthy of no more than a 1-4 to a 1-5. Honestly. And I'd be shocked if this pulled more than a 1-6. This show did nothing to make people get that remote in their hands and press the last button channel to the USA Network. I wouldn't blame anybody if their last channel was to ABC or ESPN, which is both football games. I would not be surprised because this product gave you nothing to need to tune into last night. I'm the Amplified Man. This has been the Amped Up Podcast featuring the Monday Night Raw review for the 18th of September. Until next time, and there will be that next time. Top guys, we're out. BC saying check you. Salute!